Thanks a lot, and welcome to the panel as well as everybody in the audience. I think this is going to be a fascinating discussion. We've already been having a very interesting behind-the-scenes conversation over the last half an hour or so, but let me see if we can get some of those insights into this conversation. It was relatively broad topic. We said technology, shopping 2.0, personalization, analytics. A lot of buzzwords, I must say, that was sort of thrown in there. But I think the interesting thing is over the last 2-3 years, we're obviously seeing a lot more, democratization in some sense happening of technology. It's actually no longer the preserve of just the largest brands and retailers. But there's loads of innovation happening across different sizes as well as types of brands. You can almost start to divide this up into a few different buckets where we're seeing innovation happening. At the core, there's the whole question of even before a customer walks into the store, how do you know a little bit more about them? And we'll spend some time talking about that during our conversation. So what's often referred to as a customer 360 view. There's a certain information trail that I have about the customer. I understand where they are in their buying journey, what their preferences are. And therefore, how do I get the right people into the store with the right message at the right time? Once they're in the store, how do I ensure that the path to conversion is as smooth and seamless as possible? And there's a few different flavors to that. I mean, I think if you looked at this a few years ago, it was about ensuring that the basics like, you had an endless inventory. And so people would, if something was out of stock in store, they could buy it online. But there's, I think, more innovation that's happening there now, both in terms of just easing the whole trial and conversion process, as well as ensuring that via the personalization, I actually know who you are as an individual, and I am therefore better equipped to make the sale. The third piece that's, I think, quite interesting is, for many of the brands that we've spoken to, at the end of the day, what you want, the person who's representing the brand in the store is the sales associate. That person needs to be able to talk the language of the brand, understand your products, understand each individual consumer, and therefore make the right offer, the right pitch. So there is a big element of sales enablement and training that becomes important. And then finally, if you think about the entire back-end system that powers all of this, if you've got a network of 20, 30, 100, any number of stores across the country, is the right product in each of these stores? How do you think about, putting the right inventory styles into each store? There's obviously value there as well. So we'll touch upon a whole set of all of these dimensions. I think we've got a very interesting panel, I must say, because from the different sort of perspectives that they bring, we've got brand owners, a mall operator, somebody who's actually providing a lot of the technology that powers many of these solutions. I think we'll get to an interesting and diverse set of views. I'm going to actually get, my very first question is going to be going back to the basics a little bit, and I'm going to request the panelists to just provide their quick responses. Over the last, call it 8 to 10 years, a lot of, whenever we spoke about innovation in retail, we spoke about e-commerce. Everybody was trying to figure out how to sell more online. That story has changed quite significantly, I must say, in the last year and a half or so. I think the store has regained some of the prominence that it had earlier, but in a different avatar. So there's now, I think, a different role that the store can play in terms of building the brand, driving engagement, and ultimately driving the sale. So I want to start with that very quickly, and maybe we'll start right at the end with you, Umar, and then just go down the line. How do you think about the role of the store in your channel strategy in terms of how you think about customer acquisition, customer lifetime value, and so on? How important is it?
Thank you. So I'm Umar and I represent Koskii here. I think for us it was an interesting journey because we never had to do we are online now let us go and figure out where does the store has to play a role into this. Because from day one we started offline. We started with stores offline, and for us, I think as a brand, we are into ethnic occasion wear for women. And when it comes to that, it's a very touch feel. I'm getting married, I need to buy something. I have an occasion, I need to buy something. You have to be in the store, right? So for us, the store was the strongest physical manifestation of the brand. If you can get a customer into your store, and if you can create a physical experience that your customer can get, where they enter a space, they love the space, they love the brand, they love the ambience, they love the service, they can touch and feel the product. You can't get a better brand impression than that in a digital space. However sophisticated a digital world may be. So for us, it was very easy because we started there, and we later on moved to the online realm, and then we created the whole omni-channel system where we kind of merged the offline and online. We are still going through that journey. We are still in very early stages of the growth of our journey. So for us, the store was the beginning, and it was not an afterthought. And for us, the store will remain the most strongest part of the brand, because I believe that is where all the money is to be made. I haven't seen too many, pure play online businesses at very large scale make enough money, but I know that you can do that with physical store. So we will stick to that as a brand strategy for us, where we'll always have an online component that will support that for growth and other aspects of it. So that's.
Thanks. Atul, you had some interesting ideas about omni-channel. How do you think about online store? What's the role of each of these? Would love to hear you elaborate on that.
So for us, in the category that we operate in, which is jewelry, it's a very high involvement category. And I mean, as a brand, we did start online only. But the customer does not think of channels as online or retail separately, right? They think about it as a brand which offers certain products, right? And they want to be able to engage with us at different points in time through different channels. So what we try to provide over time, we began opening stores because many customers were not ready to shop jewelry online. Even now, while CaratLane has become much more better known as a brand, customers want the tactile experience and the human warmth of a store, of a physical space, which cannot be given online. They want to try out the products. They want to see and experience how it feels, right? So really what we've been working at is how do we integrate the online experience and the store experience for the customer. And I think brands that can truly deliver that seamless experience between what their engagement with the online space is, where they start their discovery journey, with what happens in a store, which is typically in a category like ours, at least, where they would do their transaction, are the brands that really will be able to maximize the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks. Apeksha, your views.
So, okay. Yes. So I run John Jacobs. It's an eyewear brand. We have our own stores and also have presence across Lenskart, right? So my firm belief is that the store is actually not going anywhere. And similarly to what Atul just mentioned, the role of the store is going to really be in cinching the sale and keeping the customer coming back for more. So just as an example, 65% of all customers who shop with us actually start their journey online, but they finish it offline. And the metrics of success in stores vis-a-vis online are starkly different, right? And I'm talking about metrics like what is the frequency of purchase? You'll be surprised it's higher at stores. The customer's average transaction value in stores is almost 250% of that on online, right? They also have extremely high retention and stickiness. And as a consequence of that, the relative customer acquisition costs are lower. So to my mind, the financial benefits of not having the customer complete their journey and to keep coming back to the stores are fairly superior. The stores of today, however, are not the stores of lore, right? And I agree that the customer does not really look at brands from an online, offline point of view. It's really one brand, one experience, sort of seamless across everywhere where the customer is. So to me, an ideal store experience would be that I started, like I mentioned, and it's not just my website. It starts far before, and it's at the discovery stage. And it could be in my marketing communication. It could be my experience seeing it on someone else, really in real life, right? can I discover that product? Can I quickly go on the app or on online or on your social media and find the product and book an appointment in a store where a staff already knows that this is the product that I would want to be buying, and then you're minimizing the friction to finish that purchase. So I think stores can have an opportunity to be more frictionless and faster, and then the customers will reward that with higher loyalty, higher spending, and more repetition.
Yeah. And I think you teased an interesting set of ideas there that I'm going to come back to subsequently on how do you actually think about the seamless journey. Ankita, a lot of your business actually is about helping brands figure out what that store footprint needs to be and using data to do that more effectively. What are you seeing as, how are you actually using data in this process?
So just to basically what Atul said, right? That the Indian customer needs to go and, what they see is what they trust in. And the new stores now are basically, they're not just places where you go to buy stuff. They are places where you go to experience things. And what we're seeing from our data is that once a store pops up on your street, it's not just the it's not just the store sales that defines the profitability or the success of the store. It's actually the sales that's coming from around there. What we've seen is that very recent incident and actual numbers, a store came up in HSR layout in Bangalore, which is where I come from. The overall sales for that particular brand, the online sales for that particular brand went up by 50% as compared to 30% in rest of Bangalore, where there were no stores open. So that's the kind of delta that store brought in, and I'm not even considering the offline sales that the store was bringing in. So having the store present is, and this is what we call as the halo effect, right? So the halo effect is quite real. It establishes trust, especially when the category is where you have a high volume spend.
Of course. And I think it's very interesting to actually hear you quote those numbers, because in theory, one hears about this all the time. You have the store, it boosts online sales and vice versa, but it's actually encouraging to hear some of these numbers. Gopal, your business is actually then about creating, the right environment where you're effectively aggregating high quality traffic that then comes to all of the, all of the stores in your mall. I'd love to understand, what are you doing differently now in partnership with these stores to be able to generate the right kind of traffic and then ultimately drive outcomes for themselves and for you?
Namaste. So we operate a mall in a tier 3 location, and I'm also with the Shopping Centers Association of India. So I will be talking the future of the store with relevance to the shopping mall business. So when you see the competition for a shopping mall, so you have high street and then you have the mall. So most of us think the most expensive real estate is the shopping mall, but it has changed now. The most expensive real estate is the screen of the phone today, right? So that has become the most expensive real estate today. So when we to talk about the future of the store, so we are dealing with brand stores, which the brand is operating. We are dealing with the franchisee store today. And then mall has a stake in the form of the revenue share with the brand and the franchisee store. So how this has happened, how it is happening now and how it would evolve in the future is what we keep thinking. So initially, when e-commerce and the digital sales started, we thought it was a huge threat for the shopping mall business. So it's evolved now. So now it's coexisting. Then what is the future is what we keep thinking. So now if you see some of the issues, for example, with the franchisee stores. So he's selling a product. The same product is sold online through multiple channels at a lesser price. That's one issue, pain point they face when I meet them. So how can technology has created this problem, right? How can technology solve this problem is what we keep thinking. So what I feel the future would be like, which most of our friends have shared now, I think there is no digital and physical in the future. I think everything should be integrated seamlessly, right? For example, if you take, there are 15, 16,000 brands online for fashion. So whichever brand has a brick and mortar store and whichever brand has eyeball visibility, I think is doing well today because the customer trusts the brand better. Then, because huge part of retail happens through the franchisees today. So what do we do about the franchisee is the next question. So the pricing game is a difficult answer for me. I think most of them don't buy because of the price. Then what is the next way out for the franchisee store? And how can technology solve this issue? So let's imagine what's the next problem? The next problem is the inventory for the franchisee store. So a lot of brand stores are doing it. So what happens? A customer enters the store. So he checks out the stock. And then if the franchisee can just book the order online through the brand website, and then it is delivered exactly like a e-commerce. Like how I think even in Zara and most of the places, you can just browse through their website, enter the store, check out the store. You don't have many colors in the same fit and finish. Browse the website, order it, and it should be delivered in your just like the e-commerce. I think that would solve one part of the issue. And then the next one is maybe, I don't know how far the brands will agree with me. Maybe geotag the store. Even like automobile is doing it right now, right? If anything online is delivered in the store, which is the geotag is just you tag the delivery address, 2 kilometers, 4 kilometers, 6 kilometers. Any product which is delivered in the radius of the store is going to get a margin out of it. And the last part I wish to discuss is the way the stores are designed today, like you said. So store should be an experience center. So it should be a display center, which a larger go down in the back end where you can stack different sizes. If you see, the problem of storing the size in the display is the bigger problem today. Because as a mall owner, I have invested in few brands. So it should be an experience center. And then maybe you have a larger go down in the mall, in the basement, paying low rent, delivering the goods, or like I said, seamless online integration of the store. It's a display center. Then just choose it, we deliver it to your house. I think this is how technology might solve the issue. In regard to the footfall, like we said, a mall app would be a very useful one. Like I said, the phone screen is the most expensive real estate. So the mall, if it's in the most expensive real estate in the form of app, so the customer spends a lot of time. I think 80% of the customers make the choice by browsing online on the product. So they can open the mall app, browse through the various brands which are there, offers which are there. See, most of the times in the mall, impulsive purchase happens. I think 20-25% is impulsive purchase. Maybe you're driving for a movie, just open the mall app, check out the offers, drop in and buy. I think a fully integrated app, if the mall can develop, which can even talk with the POS of the brands, and then various things. You have so much technology today, face identification, traffic management technology. I think it would solve a lot of issues.
Yeah, thanks, Gopal. Quickly, Soumya, your views as well.
Yeah, I'll not take too much time. We feel that at Clovia, we were an online first brand, but we did realize that like God, customer is omnipresent and you have to be everywhere they are. So for us, offline was a very important step in the sense that we wanted to be in every nook and corner where she is shopping for her lingerie. So today we are in tier 3 city like a Haridwar, Purulia, Moga and whatnot. And while this may sound like a small feat, we used to sell one bra every 3 seconds. With our offline expansion, we quickly moved to one bra every 2 seconds. And the AOVs, like Apeksha mentioned, in offline are much higher, almost double. The stores are far more profitable. So I think online, offline is really nothing. It's more about being available to your customer in every shape and manner where she is.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's it's very helpful, and it leads in actually into my next question, which is, I mean, I think the in theory, yes, there should be an integrated online offline experience. Often the biggest barrier is how do you identify the same customer as being the person whom you saw online and offline. So in theory, yes, I should be able to serve up a tailored experience when you walk into the store, but how do I know who you are? So I'm going to ask you, Apeksha, how do you do that?
All right. So typically, a key identifier for the customer is the starting point here, right? And we're fortunate that in India, the phone number and in general OTP systems are so prevalent that there's relatively low friction to collect customer information via phone number. So once we cross that barrier. So now in our case, for example, in stores we have a queue management system, and typically the queue management system does start with a phone number. And the minute the phone number is plugged in, automatically the customer's profile gets drawn in. So as a sales associate in a store catering to a customer, I already know whether you're a first-time buyer or a repeat buyer. And then within a repeat buying experience, what is your general preference of purchase? Do you have certain product lines that you prefer? Are you due for a prescription checkup? Some of those things. So we're able to, so within the store, just by definition of having the phone number, we're able to cater to that experience. Now, this phone number also links back to your online journey. So I already know whether you have items in your wish list, whether you have already spent a certain amount of time browsing products, and where you dropped off on that journey. And also with your profile, there are linked offers around, and those offers are built on whether you're a repeat purchaser or you're a lapsed purchaser, you're a switcher, some of those profiles of the customer. So that identifier alone can build a certain level of seamlessness, and that is how we have been able to build that. And I'll just go back to my previous point. Because of this, we're able to track that 65% of our customers who shop in store actually start their journey online. So it's not seamlessness only in theory. It is really extremely plausible to build that.
Yeah, and I found this actually a very interesting example, because I think not too many brands are actually doing this integration, in terms of actually being able to identify the individual customer. Atul, I know that, CaratLane is also doing something similar. So I'd love to have you build upon a couple of things. One is, how are you collecting this information of the customer online? And then the second is, when the person walks into the store, what is the information that the sales associate has to be able to then personalize the whole selling experience in store itself?
So as a first step, getting the mobile number online is not very easy. But if you try and ask a customer too early in their journey on the website, then they are not interested, because they haven't yet decided whether they are serious about browsing and getting deeper into the funnel or not. And if you end up waiting for too long, you run the risk of the customer leaving your site without you having captured that piece of information. So there's a lot of experimentation and signals that we look at to understand when, for which customer would be the right time to try and get their mobile number. And thankfully, again, maybe because we are in jewelry, if a customer is interested, they actually share their mobile number. They are not averse to doing that. And much like Apeksha said, once we have the mobile number, it goes into our common CRM. And if a customer visits the store, we are able to pull out the history of that customer. So we look at things like if the customer has added items to the cart and we have that product with us in that store, we immediately know that this is something the customer is likely to be interested in. And we bring that out for the customer, right? And all this is done, at least our attempt is to do it as seamlessly as possible, because the moment, tech has to play a role literally in the background, right? You can't do it in her face, because that can spook her out about what's going on.
Yeah. And you spoke about tech. So how are you actually doing this stitching together? Do you have off-the-shelf solutions? Have you built something yourself? Do elaborate on that.
Yeah. So we have our in-house CRM. And I think the primary reason for that is that when we began building stores, we started online, but when we began building stores, and that was 7 or 8 years ago, there was just no off-the-shelf tool available that truly integrated this experience for customers, at least nothing that we were aware of or we could find. So we started building it, and then over time, we've customized it and added lots of features and layers on it to suit our needs as a brand.
Got it. Thanks a lot. I'm going to move a little bit now to to the back end in some sense, the product. So how do you ensure that actually the right product is in store? And Umar, one of the problems that you're grappling with is that you're obviously dealing with a huge width of inventory that you need to carry in your category. It's also high value, but then that needs to get to the right set of stores across your network. What have you done to be able to ensure that the right product is in the right place?
So I think for us, as a brand, when you're shopping for occasions and for our particular category, you cannot be a very, I'll show you 10, 15, 20 products type. So for high value products, we have a huge width, but we have a very low depth. And also what happens is, because the diversity of the regions of the stores and which stores are where, different types of products sell in different regions. So what we have done is we had the same problem, a lot of software that is off the shelf out there. It tells you that, ये store में ये वाला inventory आपका पुराना हो रहा है, ये वाला बिक नहीं रहा है, this is not working well. But I think the challenge is not knowing what is happening. The challenge is what is the action you need to take to fix it. And the challenge is actually taking that action. So same problem we had when we went and looked out to find a software that can do that for us. Most of the softwares were telling us that, we'll give you this data, but you have to figure out what to do with it. So we had to build something in-house to actually make it an action-oriented thing. So what we have managed to do is we have managed to build a software that one identifies ke kaun se market mein kaun sa design bikne wala hai. So we don't create trends, we follow trends. So we are able to, I don't believe in predicting, because you can be 80% right, but 20% being wrong means 20% of your goods are not sold at full price. So you need to be 100% right, and the only way to do it is to follow the trend. So we believe in following the trend. So we have algorithms in place that track our design, they follow the trends, and we know certain design is working, it scales. It automatically scales because the software is directly connected to our backend supply chain. So if one product piece is sold in my store, an automated order goes to my manufacturer real time. That's how the system works. And how this helps us is that it helps us maintain an extremely lean inventory. We do close to about 6 turns in a year, which means from a customer experience perspective, a few things happen. One is, when you go into a Koskii store, you see newness, because every 2 months the entire inventory is cycling through the store. The second thing you see is that because the software tracks what is selling where, it has the right product in the right place at the right time, right? So one of the things that I kept getting asked when I was pitching our company to investors is, the menswear brand can do it, but women are very difficult. Unko variety chahiye, itna sara maal chahiye, ye sab chahiye. How are you going to do it, right? But I think the point is, if you have the right products on the shelf, then you can absolutely do it. And we have managed to do that with the software that we have built. And that's how it works for us.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot. I'm going to come to you, Soumya, because I saw you nodding, and I know that in your category, this whole problem of range, low depth is actually a
So
big
we
issue.
don't only grapple with the problem of high depth, high width. We have up to 54 sizes in one product. So what to keep at a certain store, what's going to sell in a certain region, is very important to predict beforehand, before you send inventory, incur that cost, and then learn. So we have this proprietary tool, like Umar said, we have this proprietary tool completely in-house, wherein we track every speed of sale for every product, every color, every size, every region, every pin code, to tell us that if I am opening a store in Nagpur, what is going to sell in that region, what color is going to move the most. Should I be sending full figure product at all? Should I be sending only bikinis? It tells me the exact shelf planning. So if I have a 8 feet wall in one of my stores, it will tell me that you should keep this much padded, this much non-padded, and so on. And how it does that is because we've collected, over the course of our journey, we've collected about 140 million data point across our customers. And every day it's churning that data to tell us that this product is your winner and this product you should discontinue. And it's constantly telling us what more to make, what to drop. So Clovia operates today at less than 3 months inventory, which is unheard of in offline retail for sure, and even in online retail. So technology plays a very big role, not just for store planning, but what you're going to send to a retailer in, a small town of like a distant pin code, even in Bombay, or what you're going to send to a large format store. It hugely depends on that planning engine.
Got it. It's very interesting. I'm going to take this to you, Ankita, because I know that Soumya spoke about the 140 million data points and so on. A lot of your business is actually about then saying, for every new store that comes up, not only where should it come up, but what should it stock. So how do you help brands actually work through this journey?
So we are a location intelligence platform. For every location in India, we know what is the affluence indicator or index of that particular location, what kind of spend is happening around there, what are the average rental rates around there. And what we do is we learn basis these. So parameters about customers that the brands are able to learn. We learn about locations. So if you've got a store, say in Santa Cruz versus in Linking Road, what are the kind of parameters that define the sales of one kind of color, as Soumya mentioned, versus the other. So for example, a very interesting study that we did was that for a eyewear brand, yellow color spectacles sold more in regions where there were high density of PGs and coaching institutes versus versus your typical blacks and browns. So those kind of parameters do come up with that. And basis these, we give them initial indicators that, what kind of shelf space should you be allocating to a high value product versus a lower value product. What kind of split in terms of, more traditional wear versus slightly more fashion forward inventory.
And I'll just ask you one follow-up question there. This is obviously, fairly data-intensive game. So
Right.
how much of this is, let's say, broad indicators that you're able to collect about, let's say you said, affluence at a micro market level and so on, versus, then layering on the intelligence from the brand's own data from other stores, for example, to be able to then come to some conclusions?
Where our expertise actually comes in is bringing this data at a very granular level. You hear everybody talk about pin codes in India, but an average pin code in India is about 80 square kilometers, which is a very large area. So it's not homogeneous. Understanding what sells on one street versus the catchment of the next street is very important in over here. Most of our work goes into building those, and then the models that we build on top of that, which are tuned to particular brands, that just tunes them for them.
Got it. Thanks. Gopal, in the context of malls as well, there's a certain amount of information that you have on customers who are walking into the mall. Presumably, you also have, some sort of profiling that you've been able to collect from all of the different brands that, are part of the mall and so on. How are you, what are you doing with malls to be able to, share information, intelligence, do additional value-added things that then help the brands in their objectives?
So the data collection becomes challenging actually. So one place is the parking. We can collect the data. And then the next place is the brand exchanging the data with us. So these two, or otherwise maybe we can run a offer or something where you just give your cell phone or something like that. So collecting the data is a challenge. So when we collect the data through the parking, then what we are doing now is a basic, sending some promotions online, maybe the mall related. You have activity going on, you have this going on, you have some event related to food going on. So, but the next what I was doing. So I met yesterday. I met someone who has developed the app for Starbucks. I had a 2 hours meeting with him. So it's quite interesting what they have done. So the next big thing any mall developer you speak now is the developing the app. And then the next challenge when you develop the app is how it talks with all the stores. You have 50, 60, some malls have 200, 300 stores. I think we have to achieve that. Then it will do wonders. Later from there, it is a different game again. So, like I said, today there is no online offline. It's just customer and customer experience. I think it should end there. I think that should be the best place to be.
Perfect. Thank you. I just want to check with the organizers. Do we have a couple of minutes to do this wrap up? Okay. Fine. So I think it's quite clear. The biggest set of themes for me coming out of this were obviously we've been talking about omnichannel for a while, but the notion of saying that from a brand's perspective, there is a value that the store has in terms of being able to drive in higher value, higher intent, more sticky customers. But a lot of the journeys of discovery actually originate online. The trick is in being able to identify the same customer through and then delivering, ultimately using the store to close the deal, ensuring that then the store has the right kind of product that's then going to convert a high intent customer over to finally closing. Seem to be really the common themes that have emerged across this group. Thanks so much for sharing your experiences very candidly. It was a very interesting discussion for me, at least. Thanks, everyone.